I wanted to post this video about how I dealt with what I believe to be Amphidinium Dinoflagellates, and I did it in a very simple way in the end. If you're watching this video, then you're probably aware of the issue of dinoflagellate blooms in reef aquariums. I have learned through my own battle with it and through my own research process that there is a lot of controversial information about dinos on internet forums. Reef to Reef, of course, has probably the most savvy community that is quick to correct poor information that is being disseminated. Something that is widely agreed upon is that dinos probably exist in your aquarium to some degree at all times, at least in a cyst form, but explode and outcompete bacteria when nitrates and phosphates bottom out. I am not sure that this was exactly the case for me. My outbreak initially occurred the day after I added a small bag of commercially purchased aragonite live sand to pre-existing sand. My nitrates have always been steady at 5 to 10 and phosphates at about 0.04 to 0.08. So this was what my tank looked like about 2 months ago. I had this brown bloom above and slightly below the sand surface under lit areas. It would achieve its maximal growth towards the afternoon and evening and disappear during the dark period each night. I tried several initial treatments. I did siphoning every day for several weeks, as well as bacterial treatments to try to outcompete the dinos, and this did not work. I ran a UV sterilizer for 3 to 4 weeks, and that also did not work. So I obtained a microscope, and under 100x magnification, I was able to identify that I had a subspecies of what I believe to be Amphidinium Dinoflagellates, which, as everyone will tell you on the forums, this should have been my first step, was to get a microscope. So this was the dino I was dealing with. Notice that dinoflagellates are rounded. They have organelles or material inside of them, and they are fast moving. In contrast, diatoms are almost crystalline shaped and stationary. But notice that this dino in particular is sticking very close to the substrate. So here's what I've learned about Amphidinium dinos. Amphidinium, unlike other dino species, does not necessarily move out of the substrate and into the water column at night. Therefore, a UV sterilizer does not work on them. Their cysts lay dormant attached to substrate, and they bloom once the photoperiod resumes the next day. So, knowing this information, my next thought was, if they live and depend on the sand during all cycles of their life, why don't I just slowly remove sand, treat it with peroxide, then slowly reintroduce the sand bit by bit, week by week? So I did this over the course of 4 weeks, but then I stopped short of reaching a bare bottom tank when something magical happened. Several weeks prior, I had set up a Pico tank that had the same dino outbreak within 24 hours of being set up, and that was because I had used sand and water that was transferred from my display tank. However, the dinos, after they initially appeared, disappeared within 1 week in that Pico tank spontaneously. The sand appeared immaculate. So I discovered that the brand new preset heater in that tank was faulty. It was running at 83 degrees. So I was wondering, could this be it? So I began researching why reef tanks are kept at 78 degrees. It turns out that LPS and SPS are usually exposed to mid-80s temperatures in ocean reefs, but they don't bleach until they become exposed to maybe higher temperatures. I found out that many people even keep their reefs at about 83 or 84 degrees with success. The main reason that fish tanks are kept at 78 degrees is actually for your fish to thrive, not necessarily for your corals. Fish disease such as ick tends to spread with greater success at higher temperatures. And given that my display tank had hardy clownfish, I was willing to take a risk. So what I did was I turned the tank temperature up to 82.6 degrees over a 24-hour period. And guess what happened? The dinos began receding almost immediately, and they became visually and microscopically undetectable within 1 week. And my corals and clownfish? Well, you could say that they seem to not care at all about the change. I'm not saying that this is a valid, efficient treatment for Amphidinium dinoflagellates. This experiment was only an N of 1, so if anyone else is desperately in the same situation I was and ends up trying something like this, Perhaps they should let us know so that we can build a body of evidence.